Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We got Stamp Lax with us again for the breakdown. And this week we were looking at, so we've heard with Ryan Benesh setting
Fifth in all-time goals.
the similarities in some of his goals. The last two, I was clipping the replay. I was like, wait, no, I did this one already. It's going to be, and it actually was just the next.
It's something that goes throughout the career of Ryan Benesh, where there's so much similarity because he has a knack for getting in the front of the net, just getting open. I remember when he went to Buffalo, he had a huge season with the Bandits, and he just would get open and get rid of the ball so quickly. And you wonder, because he's not the fastest guy or the quickest guy or he just gets into these spots at the perfect moment. He's got such great awareness, and he's such an amazing shooter. So it's pretty cool to see what he can do with the ball. And as we roll the one clip here of the highlights of his goals, you'll just see that he just, a couple of fakes, the high, low, high, and then just tucks it over the shoulder of Hutchcraft. And this is just classic Benny. Again, not the hardest shot in the world. He can shoot hard, but it's all about the precision. It's all about the finding his exact spot to put the ball in. And he just does it over and over again. Yep, just comes in, shoots around Ryland Rees, and just there's no waiting around to find a spot. He gets that pass from Stotts, has the little screen to open things up, and just makes the most of his shooting opportunity. And this is the sidearm where he can go any height, and it all depends on what he sees the goalie giving him. Behind him there is such a common goalie look after Ryan Benesh's shot, because it's like, I can't believe he just beat me with that. Because it's just so precise. Like, you can think you have most of the space covered, and he will just find the spot that is open, or that will come open when he takes the shot. And then this third one, right on top of the net, he gets it and goes bouncer here, and he's so calm. I mean, you're looking at Matt Gilray coming out at him, one of the best defenders in the game, and he's just so quick, Benesh, to get rid of this ball. As you can see, Hutchcraft is adjusting. The ball is bounced. He's trying to step back out. And because you see the right foot goes up, and that's, Benesh knows he can get under there and just bounces that one 5-hole. I mean, it's incredible what this guy does. And then you look at this next one. This is just cruel to a goalie to have. I saw some Rochester fans on their one of their forums talking about, Hutchcraft hasn't been great for them necessarily. I don't think you can blame him on many of these goals. I mean, if you leave Ryan Benesh one-on-one on your goalie, you might as well just mark it up as a goal. Yeah. I mean, look at this. He just so calm, doesn't even seem like much of a fake. He just knows exactly where and how to shoot, and he will find the spot. You hear announcers a lot of the time say, oh, if he's open there, he's going to bury it 8 times out of 10 or 9 times out of 10, which isn't true. In most of those cases, 5 out of 10 would be great in a one-on-one look with the goalie. But with Benesh, you might actually be up around 8 or so times that he's going to put that ball in the net. And then shooting around another great defender here in Mitch Ogilvy, who Ogilvy kind of got himself a little side. He was going to reach out with the butt end of the stick, which I think probably screened Hutchcraft a bit without actually doing much to challenge Benesh's shot. But you can see he's trying not to let him duck underneath, gets that hand out there, and the ball's gone. It's, before you can get that stick on him, it's on its way into the net. I mean, he's just such a crafty shooter. You can watch these 1,000 times and just think, wow, that's amazing. And you're not going to be able to do what he does. I just think it's an amazing thing that Ryan Benesh has done.
You kind of look at that and you're like, wow, why has this guy been on 9 teams? But then when you see he's the leading scorer, because every team that's getting ready to make a run is always like, well, if we just had one more guy who could bury it, and it seems to be more teams than not obviously think he's the guy.
Yeah, I mean, teams have gone and gotten him because he just, and I mean, the other factor is teams at times have been thinking, I think, well, he's getting older and he's not going to be the player he has been. You might see a couple of signs here and there of him tailing off, but I mean, that was, we're looking back 6-7 years, and he keeps scoring. I mean, the other thing I know is that he's not the fastest player, as we mentioned, and he's never been known for getting off the floor in a hurry. And that will drive coaches nuts. I mean, he's such a good guy. He's such a positive player to have on your team. But I remember hearing, a coach saying something like, we told him, like, hey, you need to hustle off the floor more. And Benny saying, yeah, I'm not really good at that. And they were like, "There's no being good at it. Just do it. Like, just run. Like, it's just run."
Oh
But
my
he
God,
was
that's
like,
amazing.
"Yeah." But it's funny because I've heard, at President's Cups and things, heard his teammates bugging him about it, being like, "Oh yeah, well, if you got off the floor," and he's like, "Yeah, that's not going to happen." Like, he recognizes that so much of what he does comes from playing the game that he knows. Um,
Yeah, and
so
it's
yeah,
two of those rebound goals though. You see it. It's because he stays down
yeah,
there. He doesn't. He's
yeah,
not the first guy to run off when the shot goes. He stays
yeah,
down there. He picks up those garbage goals and he's
yeah,
able to bury it. And
yeah,
yeah, like you said, when it works out, everybody's like, "Wow, look at the patience, look at the poise." And when it doesn't, everybody's
yeah.
like, "Why are you being so lazy? Get off the floor."
Yeah. So you live with things like that from somebody who's that good and such a positive team guy. I mean, Benny's a beauty. You just when you see him when he had his son, just when his son came to some games, like those are some of the cutest photos you ever see, right? As players with their kids at the games, and Benny with his wife and their son, just it's unbelievable seeing seeing those, and you can see how much it all means to him. And I don't know. I think it's great that he's around for this year because it's just a chance to see things like he just did in that game against Rochester.
Yeah, I mean, to be 39 and still be so viable is pretty impressive.
Mhm.
And now, kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum.
Yeah, just a brand new guy in his first game in the National Lacrosse League. Ben McDonald, a first round pick that Rochester made a deal so that they could get him pick number 16. I think they sent a pick that I believe Vancouver used for Connor O'Toole, if I recall correctly, which I think they're going to be very happy with. I think Rochester's going to be very happy with this. So the first part of the clip, we're going to see there's a shot. So there's a shot. Riley Hutchcraft makes the save, bombs an outlet pass to Ryan Smith coming off the bench. Smith very patiently waits for McDonald, who runs down to make this pick. And it's just a beauty. Absolutely opens up the lane for Ryan Smith, who, may or may not be in Ryan Benesh territory in terms of career numbers at some point, but he's a great finisher as well. Very dangerous when he gets inside. McDonald just completely opens that one up. And just in case anybody's wondering, because there has been a lot of debate about the McDonald McDonnell, because he was called McDonnell by a lot of people. I went and checked with Ben, and it's definitely McDonald. And I actually had to double and triple check just because even after I talked to him about it, people were still doing it. So it's Ben McDonald, rookie, and here's a nice play right here where he makes the trail check and then gets into the corner and really mucks it up with Trevor Smith here. Fellow, I believe Smith was a first round pick a few years ago. And you see McDonald's just battling, really fighting hard for the ball. And he just makes such a nice play. So yeah, just the grit going in. And you can see there's the contact initially that makes the ball be loose, and then he's just in there with Ethan O'Connor, a veteran, and jumping in. And bear in mind, this is McDonald's first game in the NLL, so he's doing all this without having played against these guys and having missed a third of the season with injury after being a first round pick. And there was a lot of discussion when I talked to people about, like, some people were really high on McDonald coming into the draft, and some people just didn't see him as a first rounder. They thought he was a bit further down. And I've been a big fan. I've seen him play in a bunch of places. So I'm in Arena Lacrosse League. He was first pointed out to me. I've seen him play at Trent in field lacrosse. I've seen him play in Europe at the Alice Robesky tournament. I've seen him play, in junior and in senior, and he's to me looks like the kind of kid he's going to just get better and better, because I think he's just really solid. And the next play we're going to see is him taking another step. And I want to eventually show you guys a clip of Ben McDonald scoring a gorgeous goal in the Begataway Cup, the Canadian University Field Lacrosse Association Championship Tournament. But we're going to start with the goal he scores here in his Nighthawks debut, where he takes this outlet pass. It's a lovely little touch pass coming up, gets it just before center, and just lets it rip. He's got Graham Hossett coming over at him, gets flattened. Actually looks like his shoulder is in a fair bit of pain after he lands, so he doesn't get to celebrate the way he'd like, because he's going with Stephen Lobsinger down the hallway. And there's the beautiful touch pass ahead. But look, he just takes a peek over to the man off the bench, and he commits right there. You can see he decides, nope, this is my best opportunity, and he bounces one past Warren Hill, who was fantastic in that game. I mean, Warren Hill was just outstanding for Halifax, and McDonald bangs that one by him. So huge play right there for Ben McDonald. And here we have a play, again, a young player scoops this ball, gets beat by Clark Peterson, but fights through, runs over, gets in position, gets the loose ball, comes down, and you can see him just pull out. It's 2-on-3, 3-on-3, not a great scoring look. Halifax has gotten back very well, and McDonald just decides, discretion is the better part of valor. And that is huge for young defender because you can get pretty excited. And any young player, things are going well, you get excited, and it can lead you to overstep, or try and overperform, or just go beyond what's really within your wheelhouse. And that was just a smart decision. There's not many defenders can make a play out of that situation. And I love that he goes one side of the floor to the other, right? As he does this. So here towards the end of the game, you can see that McDonald is getting after Clark Peterson, and Thomas Whitty comes in as well, I think, and gives him a tap. And then so McDonald goes after Peterson because Peterson was getting upset. So Theed comes in to intercede, which is part of his role, right? You can see Theed working his way around all of his teammates, rips off the helmet and just goes in. And this is a pretty poised play as well. Now, one thing, you don't want to fight Dawson Theed if you're Ben McDonald. I mean, Theed's a big dude who's been in plenty of fights, and I don't think Ben McDonald wants to fight him in his first game in the National Lacrosse League. But it's also a wise decision to just let him go. Theed comes in and takes a 5-minute roughing major. And you can see Theed is determined to get after him. Grabs by the face mask, starts throwing punches with his helmet still on, which I don't care for. If you want to go in and fight somebody, I say take your helmet off, But I think it's a good decision by McDonald. I don't think you're gaining a whole lot for your team by trying to fight Dawson Theed here. You can be tough, but you need to be smart tough. I'll find that clip for the Beganaway Cup one and show you, because it's really something.
Brock's coming in, got the lead here in the third.
Nice strip, a little spin move, which is the move of the night, but gets taken away. And here's Ben McDonald on the run.
Again.
See if he runs the same move, a little different move, and then dangles it out there, but holds on to it and scores. What a goal. Ben McDonald, no mistake this time.
And looks like a genius.
Absolutely.
You'll see here on the replay, 3 Trent guys, they're pushing it up the field, coming into your frame. Big Ben's able to tuck it in there and goes with the underhand bounce with the long pole. Not easy to pull off. The goalies aren't seeing that one much, but that needed goal by Trent there. Ties.
We're just looking at Ben McDonald. We're going to take a look at another rookie defender who came in, part of a really strong rookie class. And I look at this week in my Stampers Musings on ILindoor.com, which you should check out. But this is Sean Krywokin, who was taken 43rd overall, I believe, in the draft. What a pick by Colorado. Let's just double check. Yes, 43, Sean Krywokin, and a pick that they got from Saskatchewan, actually in the Reese Dutch trade. So he's the return on Reese Dutch, and I think that's going to work out pretty well for them. Krywokin, a kid that I got to see in World Juniors, and very impressive, very steady. He got called up for the Minto Cup last year and was probably the best player, after flipping over to a new team. So we're going to watch him play here and see just how poised he is. He's now played in 6 of Colorado's 7 games. And this first clip, the arrow nicely points out where he is. He's going to go and get that ball, kind of loses it, comes back up with it, and he's going to go up and watch it. It looks like we're speeding up the film here. We're not. He just sees that he has an opportunity to go to the net, and he goes in and scores his first career goal. And I love it. A little swim move to get past Ryan Martell, and then right here, once he sees the lane, he just accelerates. And he's not a blazing speedster, but you can see he moves pretty effectively getting up the floor for a big guy. And he is fired up to get that goal, of course. Just a great play. And we're going to move on to another play, and that's him backing down. He gets pushed into the crease here. And there's a few things that happen. I'm just going to pause it for a second. I'm just going to go back. So he gets backed up on the pick right into the crease, which not fantastic, right? You don't want somebody pushing you through. But I like that he kind of just grabs on. I think it's Riley Lowen that was pushing him in. Just kind of grabs on so Lowen can't just pop out, can't do anything else. Because he recognizes, hey, I got beat on that play, or I lost that little battle. Don't lose the next one, right? Gets in position. Very smart play here. He looks down, sees the loose ball, picks it up. I love how he fights through the forecheck from Kevin Crowley. He actually kind of pops out of the way and then comes up and just makes the pass out and heads to the bench. But just a terrific play there by Krywoken to be very heads up, to not let one mistake lead into another, and to just recover and make a very calm, poised play. And again, for a rookie player, he's at Simon Fraser University. He's not playing lacrosse there. He's saying, no, just ready to go in the NLL if he can make a team. And he's made it in Colorado. And I think they're pretty happy. It sounded from the broadcast that they're pretty stoked to have Sean Krywoken and Pat Coyle apparently singing his praises, and you can see why. We're going to see a little bit more here. This is a play where he's playing some D, gets up, he's walking Crowley up by the restraining line, realizes he needs to get back inside of Keegan Ball, gets out on Crowley for the shot, and then heads into the corner and is going to battle here, just races into the corner. And even after, he's looking at Brad McCulley. I just love that. If we can just run that a couple of times, where he goes in, kind of bangs around, they switch to the other camera angle. McCulley, who's the big tough guy from Victoria, I mean, he was brought in as a power forward. People love his grit. Buffalo had him, he'd fight there, and he's considered this big banger, which he is. I mean, he's a good tough player. And Krywoken just kind of backs away and looks at him like, I'm not intimidated. I'm here, I'm playing, and I'm going to hold my own. And I think it's really telling how comfortable he has gotten in the league already, that he's just not backing down even slightly from Brad McCulley. And we're going to go one more, I believe, Krywoken play. And this, again, nice job highlighting with the arrows. You can see he's on the back of Charlin Beatties, gets this ball, heads for the corner, sees the pressure coming, and just reverses course and heads back around the back of the net. And again, just a poised little play. Now, is he perfect? No. I mean, there's a couple times in the game where I thought, oh, no, no, you can't do that. But this is just such a lovely play. The way he's so calm. He rushes back, sees that the ball is there, gets it, protects it by getting the one arm away to protect it, and then comes out and makes a really nice pass to Warren Jeffrey. And just a very smart, very wise play. He looks like a veteran when he makes these plays. It doesn't always have to be a goal from a transition player, right? I mean, just getting the ball out of trouble, out of the forecheck, and finding the easy outlet pass is a huge and valuable skill. And I am talking about the defenders again in the musings on IL Indoor, and there's a bunch, I think, coming in this rookie class. I mean, obviously the forwards tend to get the attention, which makes sense. It's very easy to quantify what they're doing. Alex Simmons has been fantastic. I'm not saying one of these guys is the rookie of the year. I think Alex Simmons right now is the rookie of the year. Thomas McCombie has been very good. I mean, you've got guys coming in who deserve the attention again. And Frank Ty Kurtz in Albany as well. But there is a great group. And, people talk about Owen Grant in Vancouver and how good he's been. And, maybe he's the best rookie defender in the league. And I'm like, he's been really good. He may not be the best rookie defender on his team. I think Braden Laity has been terrific. They're both, I mean, you could make an argument either way. Grant is just so big and strong, and he's taken on the absolute toughest opponents. Laity's playing a bit more of a complementary role defensively, but he has been really good as well. And, you look at Albany, they've got a couple of guys with Zach Young, who's been just terrific. Like, I think probably substantially better than Glenn Clark and his group thought he would be right off the bat. And you've also got Nicholas Volkov, who he's had some ups and downs as a young player. I believe he's got a year of junior left, and he's been pretty good at times, and some things to work on. But there's another duo. And speaking of rookie defense duos, maybe the best pair, New York, Callum Jones, who I saw a comment about him. I think somebody was saying Callum Jones is the best rookie defender this year, and it's like, yeah, he might be. He's been tough. He's plays a really solid game, and he's also got Zach Deacon on that New York team, who isn't quite. You're not going to notice him maybe quite as much, but I mean, Greg, you watched a lot of the President's Cup, and you would have seen Zach Deacon playing for Snake Island Muskies, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and fantastic. He was one of the best defenders in that tournament. He's one of the best rookie defenders. He's just so solid. He's strong. He's quick. Very smart. That Orangeville background, and there's just a great group of defenders, and I'll talk about them all in the musings. But there's just some. And well, okay, we're gonna mention one more guy because there's another team that has to do it. But we'll mention one more guy that we've talked about before a bit. That you've had a chance to see in a bunch of cases as well, and that's Justin Martin, who I think who I've been saying should be in the NLL for a while. And the really cool thing with Justin Martin, he's scoring the transition goals. He's getting transition assists. He's got 4 or 5 goals so far for Toronto. But notice also when they go out to the penalty kill, they have him on their penalty kill unit quite often, which is just amazing that he would be included in that group. He's out there with Mitch DeSnew, Brad Cree, and Challen Rogers, who are 3 of the league's best defending, and they've got the faith to put him out with that group on the penalty kill. Just shows that they believe in what he can do defensively as well. Last week we kind of highlighted how Lyle Thompson schooled him a bit, going by him on a one-on-one, but I don't envy anyone trying to cover Lyle Thompson one-on-one. So that wasn't meant to say he's a bad defender. That was meant to say, hey guys, don't leave a rookie against Lyle Thompson or anyone if you can avoid it one-on-one. So, but yeah, no, Justin Martin. But there's a bunch. It's a really great rookie class of defenders.
Yeah, a ton of young guys that are just all over the place. That Justin Martin, he is so much fun to watch though out there because every time he's on the floor, there's a chance he's going.
Yeah. And I mean, a beautiful shot over the shoulder of Matt Vince for his goal that he scored on the weekend. And I mean, he's just deadly. He's just a deadly shooter and so confident on the run. And I mean, he was I think we talked about, he was the Arena Lacrosse League Transition Player of the Year. He was just a standout in the PBLA. He's just been great all over the place. And, he was so excited to get his shot in the NLL. And I think Toronto was probably just as excited to have him. I mean, this is a kid who was undrafted, I believe, and signed as a free agent by Toronto, and just a great pickup.
Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't know he was a free agent too. I'm not very I don't pay a ton of attention to the draft. I always wait till the season kind of starts and everybody shows up is when I start paying attention to the guys. But yeah, no, he is a lot of fun to watch because I just got done clipping that game. I was like, wow, this kid does a ton of stuff.
You should pay more attention to the draft. It's a lot of fun. Now we're going to go to a veteran defender now, and it is someone who was picked later in the draft. And I was being told, hey, this could be the best defender in the draft. And he went really late, 4th or 5th round. But when defenders stay up on O, they love to set picks. Look at this little pick and roll here. Then boom, right there. There's the pick and roll. Pops open. But it wasn't the right timing. But he sets another one. There's a little pick and pop. And just great work. He's just throwing these 3 solid picks. And defenders get picked all the time. So they love to get to cross-check the guys on the other team, right? And just kind of return the favor. But you'll also notice there, he sets that pick, pops out, and then he's backpedaling out to the left of the screen, sees that the shot probably coming. He is on his way to the bench. He's looking to see if the ball flies out to him where he can help get a reset. But he is the first guy heading to the bench to get another defender out there for when the ball goes the other way. It's just a great shift from Jordan Gillis. And he is such a smart, solid player. Like he's not the biggest guy, but he's very strong and flies up the floor. Basically, he's another Joey Capito in terms of his outlet game. I mean, Capito has been just dynamite, taking the outlet passes from Dylan Ward. With Capito out, I mean, even when Joey Capito was still playing, Jordan Gillis was kind of becoming a 1-1A with Capito in terms of a threat in transition. Then when Capito was out for a while with an extended injury, Jordan Gillis really stepped up. And I mean, he's just lightning as well as Capito is.
Yeah. And what did you think of Miloski's post-game press conference?
I absolutely loved it. I think it's another thing that I touched on this week in my 3 up, 3 down is that Vancouver's playoffs hopes are in pretty tough shape with the 5th loss. And with the unified standings, it really does. The tiebreakers matter. And they've lost now tiebreakers to a bunch of teams that are ahead of them. Everyone's ahead of them in the standings, right? They're 14th. So 13 teams are ahead of them. But they've lost to a bunch of teams that are ahead of them and don't get a chance to play them again. 2 of the teams that they have played, the 2 teams that they beat, they play both of them. So those teams actually get a chance to try and get back the tiebreaker from Vancouver. Now, they beat Georgia by 8. I think they can avoid losing to them by 9. But, they beat Sask by a couple, so they're going to have to watch for the rush, make sure that they're in that one. And they do have, the good news for them is they play 8 teams down the stretch who are, ahead of them, again, like most of the teams in the league right now, but that they have a chance to go after, and they can go and get those tiebreakers. So they play 7 of the teams, they just play once. Vegas, they play twice. So it is 8 teams that they can go and get the tiebreakers. Now, the touch of gray in that silver lining is that they're playing the top teams in the league. Among those, they play Toronto and Albany and Buffalo and San Diego, which those are 4 teams that have been looking awfully good so far. So it's definitely a challenging route. That's not what you asked me about at all, but that's
No.
what I like talking about. But no, the Miloski thing is absolutely what I think is what they were getting when they signed Kurt Miloski, is accountability for himself and his players. I saw some people saying, "Oh, he's throwing his team under the bus." No, he's not. He's being honest. He's just being honest, and that's Mouse. He's a straight shooter.
And he's been critical about how the team came in shape, saying that he thinks that's why a lot of the I love it. I think you're starting to see moments of it. I think as long as the team buys in to the philosophy, it takes a year or 2 to really set your tone and really get everything going. It's challenging. It's tough to get through that couple of years, but I mean, if you believe in the coach, you got to give the Firewolves ownership group credit. They have turned over the reins to Glenn Clark now for years and let his plan kind of come to fruition. That's not something you see with a lot of ownership groups, guys constantly changing, but it takes years to build a culture anywhere. Just think about all the players that started playing for the Firewolves. It took years to get some of those draft picks lined up, to get Colton Watkinson ready. It's something everybody kind of looks at and they're like, well, why aren't you performing like that? But no, I think he's doing a great job there so far. I'm surprised actually they've got the wins that they've got so far this season.
I mean, they've played pretty well. I think the defense has been generally pretty good with definitely some breakdowns. The offense has not been scoring the way they need to. But I think the thing, and it's funny because before the season, I was doing my season previews for IL Indoor, and in the Warriors preview, I said, hey, everyone, pump the brakes a little. I said, Kurt Miloski is a great lacrosse mind. He's a great coach, but this is a team that was 4-14. They've got 7 of their 11 or 12 defenders are going to be new on any given night, new to the team. Matt Beer's returning, but all these guys new to the team, even someone like a Ryan Dilks, it's going to take a while for everyone to get working together on it. And the thing about it is and I heard actually that people thought I was taking a hard line at Mouse, or that I was being negative about Mouse. I'm like, no. He's one of the people I respect most in the game. He's fantastic. I have a lot of respect for him. I really like him. I think he's just a great lacrosse guy. I was just saying, hey, he's not going to be a miracle worker. You're not going to suddenly compete for a championship this year. It's going to take a bit of time, and it will work. And I believe it's been working. I think it is working, even though they're 2-5. I think there's progress being made and will continue to be made. So that's why I love the speech that he gave, because I was saying, you got to give him some time. I mean, they're saying, oh, he's a great coach. We're going to come in. He's going to come in. We're going to win a bunch of games. I'm like, hey, you know who else is a good coach? Troy Corgan, that they had there last year. Troy's won a bunch of games. And before last season, when things really came together a lot for Calgary, Kurt Miloski's record wasn't amazing, right? He'd had some great seasons in Calgary. It had been a bit up and down, but I think he's a terrific coach, and it's going to happen, but not overnight. I think the most important thing they did was hire him as coach and GM, because he's really putting together a team, and he's going to keep tweaking and keep putting that together, where he's getting his guys. And you can see, Grant and Laity coming in, I think are going to be terrific. Now, he didn't draft Grant. That was the year before, so you can't give him credit for that one, but you recognize that's what he's got there. I think what he's doing as a GM, reconstructing the team, is going to be huge, and I think they will be very happy with it in the long run. But I didn't think it was going to be this year, and I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, being at 2-5 and having all those obstacles. There's a chance, but I don't think this is the year if you're Vancouver, which is tough when you've had year after year after year of it not being the year. But look at watching the
As long as they
NFL
can
Conference
stick with them,
Championship.
though, as long as
What's that? Yeah,
they can have the patience and the ownership group sticks with them, because you can't really find out if your GM.
no.
I mean, even if you change the coach, but if you change your GM every couple of years, you're going to struggle. You have to have
Yeah,
a philosophy, whether it works or not, and that's what's so frustrating with it. You can't just okay, this is what's happening now. We're on to the next thing, because, like you
yeah,
said, draft picks, bringing guys in, and if you play a system, you need certain like athletic guys. I think I think it was big. He holds himself accountable, and everybody. I loved the post
I
game
love it.
press conference. I
I'd
thought
run
that was
through a wall
amazing.
for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought that
Yeah,
was amazing too. When he's like
yeah,
everybody, he's like, no, this. He goes, yeah, we shouldn't point the finger, but we're pointing the finger at all of us right now. We're not doing our
yeah.
job. I was like, okay.
And I was just going to say, like, you look at the Detroit Lions, just had a real battle in the conference championship of the NFC with the 49ers yesterday. And that's, you look at the record of Dan Campbell when they brought him in, and Brad Holmes was brought into GM and Dan Campbell the head coach. And they lost a ton of games. They were like 3-13 his first year. And then they came out and lost like 6 or 7 in a row to start the next season, then started to win. Got more competitive. And then this year has taken fruition, but it took 3 years and building a culture and changing everything. But because the Ford family, I believe it's Martha Ford, isn't the owner now, was patient, had a vision, and stuck with it, they're reaping the benefits. And I think Vancouver will do the same if they're just patient.
Yeah, no, I love that. I can't wait. I don't think they're going to make it this year, but I was just looking at their goals for and goals against. They weren't as bad as I thought. Georgia, what
Mm.
happened? What's going on with Georgia? Georgia has what, 90 goals against now?
Yeah, 3 straight losses. Now, I'll tell you one thing that happened to Georgia is they hit the hardest part of their schedule, which happens to teams, right? I mean, you get runs, and if you just kind of sit back and say, "Oh my goodness, they've lost," this team's won a bunch of games, or this team's lost a bunch of games in a row, whatever. You have to look at the circumstances. I mean, Georgia opened up with Colorado, the bad loss in Vancouver, where they just did not play well, but then Colorado again. They had a Panther City game. So they've played a bunch of Western teams, teams from the old Western Conference. And other than San Diego, teams from the West have only won a couple of games this season against Eastern teams, former Eastern teams. So, now they beat Buffalo. Georgia beat Buffalo, which was huge. But then you run into this Albany, Toronto, and the vastly improving New York Riptide. And I'm going to give you credit. Last week, you said your dark horse pick is New York making the playoffs. And I thought, might be a bit of a stretch at this point. They're going to be in the hunt for it, but boy, they look good, and they're right in the mix. So, but yeah, they've just run into a bunch of tough games and happen to lose some of them. Now, the fact that they've lost by 4, then 3, then 3 is a little concerning, I think. And the fact that they're not scoring the way you would think they would be with, Lyle Thompson and Andrew Hugh and Shane Jackson and others, is a bit concerning, but I think they're going to be okay. They're going to turn it around. The thing, though, for Georgia, I had them as very likely going into the season, very likely to be hosting a playoff game, finishing top 4 in the league, and sitting at 4-4 now. That's they need to be careful that if they're going to do that. Now, again, be careful. Well, they're trying every game. They're trying to do it, but I think they're in a situation where they still have a chance to host a playoff game, which is pretty huge. Finishing top 4, it's going to be tough. I mean, it was going to be tough going into the season. There's a lot of good teams,
Especially after last year's start, though. What was it,
yeah,
0-7 at the beginning? And that
yeah,
was but there, and kudos to that, the Georgia group. They kept
hmm
Como, and now you're starting to see, it's such I would definitely not want to own any one of these teams. That's a terrible, stressful job. It's so much more fun to just go watch it. And, I mean, yeah, it would be fun, but I would not have the patience. As soon as we started losing, I'd be like, all right, you guys all suck. Let's go. Next group.
I feel like I like to think that I would wait it out and have some patience, but we'll
Yeah,
see.
definitely not my strong suit. I think that Georgia Vancouver game this weekend though is going to be huge because like we just talked about, Vancouver, they're they're trying to make a statement for the year. Guys are playing for jobs, and after Molosky's call out, I think it's going to be a big game for them. And Georgia losing 3 games in a row is what I think makes it a big game for Georgia.
Oh yeah, yeah. 4 in a row is you start to question yourselves. It's hard not to, right? And I think Eddie Camo is a great coach and just a very calming presence to have around, and I think he'll be fine. And that makes them line as well, because he's just such a great leader. But yeah, I mean, you want to. I don't think coming into the season that they were thinking, hey, let's just make the playoffs, when they were so close last year after that horrible start, and then Brett Dobson just came on like gangbusters, and the team played really well, and had a great run down the stretch. Just a couple of losses late that had them miss the postseason. But I don't think they were saying, well, let's take it a little bit further and sneak into the playoffs. I think they were thinking themselves like, hey, let's go and be a top team in this league. I think they feel like they're ready for that, and they may be. I think, again, relying on a young goaltender is a bit of a risky proposition. We've got a handful of teams because there's such a shortage of starting caliber goaltending, like established starting caliber goaltending in the NLL, that you've got teams doing it. San Diego, Chris Origlieri is looking great. And that's one that I thought, you're going to go with Origlieri now when he's 21. He just turned 21. That's faith, but he's been looking really good again.
Yeah, he looked great against the Firewolves. I mean,
Yeah,
he
really did.
He looked phenomenal against the Firewolves, and honestly, I think Dobson played a lot better at the beginning of the year than I was giving him credit for. I didn't think Dobson. I think he played, a little bit above his capacity in a couple of those games. The more of these games I watch, though, the more I notice it really comes down to like 4 or 5 saves. Is your goalie gonna? Every goalie's gonna let in, 2, maybe 3 that they want back. But which goalie is going to make that 4 or 5 big saves that you shouldn't make, or that you
And
don't
he's been
ask
great.
them to make?
You look at how much rides on Dobson for Georgia, and they've been kind of playing a little musical backups. They had Craig Wendy, he's gone. They had Dustin Hill for a while, and he's gone. They've got Angus Goodleaf in, who, I mean, great to see Gussie back in the league after, I saw his heart stop on the floor in the President's Cup, right? It was terrifying.
Yeah.
And he had to be taken off on a stretcher to the hospital. He's back, and he's been playing very well as a backup. He's always been such a good backup in this league, and he's come in and played very well for them in a couple of games. You look at New York with Cam Dunkerley. Like, can you ride Cam Dunkerley to the playoffs right now? Maybe. He's played some great lacrosse. Again, he's a young goalie who's just establishing himself, and there's going to be ups and downs with all of these young goalies. It's just the nature of the beast. Even Christian Del Bianco, Dylan Ward, who came in as
solid start,
huge prospects, have taken a while to get really consistent.
And to have the the coaching and the confidence to go back with him, like Dylan Ward, he was pulled. He had a couple very shaky starts at the beginning, and I tell you, who was it? Their backup. He came in. He looked great.
Tyler Carlson.
Yeah, he came in and he looked great, and the coach is like, no, obviously we're going with Dylan Ward. He's got the track record, the experience. But same thing with Dobson. I mean, when Goodleaf came in, he looked really good. He essentially changed that game that he came in and held them scoreless for 15 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, no, he can be very good. He can be very good. Tyler Carlson's another great example. You've got some guys like that around the league, and they are very valuable to have. And I think a lot of teams would like to have one of those guys as their backup. Now, you get an experienced player, they're going to be paid at the higher end of the pay scale because they've been around for a long time. Do you want to sink that into your backup goalie? How are your financials looking? I mean,
look what San Diego did it, bringing in Poulin, bringing him back. Yeah, I mean I think that's a bigger pickup than most people realize. I saw him on the bench for one of the games, and I was like, oh, that's perfect. Take a young goalie. It was a better.
Poulin.
Although I would go to San Diego. San Diego seems nice most of the year, right?
I love it. It's a great city.
So what are you wearing today?
This is actually the Tre Kroner of. Tilt down a little so you can see the 3 crowns of Sweden. The number 9. This I actually got at the first ever European Box Lacrosse Championship held in Finland back in 2017. I went across, did the games, and I loved the Sweden jerseys. And I talked to their captain, Matthias Eklund, about, hey, how can I get one of those jerseys? Like, can I buy a jersey? What can I do? And he said, you know what? His was available because this is his regular jersey he had. And then they made some decisions fairly late. He was named captain of the team, so he had to get a new jersey with the C on it. They didn't just he didn't have to, I guess, but he got a new jersey with the C on it. So this one was available. So I bought this from Matthias, and I love it. I think it's a great jersey. It's got the Turku logo from the 2017 Euros. That was the first ever European Box Lacrosse Championship. So much fun. That was Israel wound up beating Czech Republic in the final. A great game. It was like 9-8 or 8. I think it was 8-7. Great goaltenders battle between Zach Higgins for Israel, and Jakub Marish, who was a young Czech goalie at the time, and just one of the better lacrosse games I've ever had the pleasure of calling. It was a terrific game. So yeah, I like putting this on once in a while to remember that tournament and how much fun it was and all the great people I met. And yeah, that's one of the joys of being involved with this sport, right? Is the number of great people that you get to spend time with.
Yeah, no, and I love the jerseys. They're always that's my favorite. I love collecting jerseys. I've got quite a few myself. All right,
All
thanks
right.
so much, Stamp. We'll talk to you.
All righty. Thanks, bud. Talk to you soon.